So in Breath of a Wok, I talk about how you can clean a wok with just salt. But the thing about just cleaning it with salt, I realized after the book was published, is it removes all the rust, or any food debris that's left in your pan, but it also completely dries out the pan. And then you need to, of course, re-season it. So in the new book, I talk about the fact that if your wok has a little rust or needs a little rejuvenation, that you should do this wok facial, which is a combination of salt and a little bit of oil. So the salt is cleaning off anything that shouldn't be in the wok, and the oil is giving it a little lubrication. Yeah. Moisturizing, exactly. All right, so this is the other sign that the wok temperature is correct. And you see a little bit of smoke coming off. So that's ready. So I turn off the heat now, and then I add the salt. Should be enough. And the oil. Just a little bit of oil. So I want this super thick so that it's protecting my hand from actually touching the metal, and try to obviously be very, very careful that your hand doesn't touch the side of the wok. So there's no heat now, although this burner probably still has a little bit of heat. But do you see how the salt is actually turning brown?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing? It's really fun being a wok doctor because people get really nervous about these pans, and like the solutions are so simple, and you can do this with a cast iron skillet. It's really great. See, there's just a little bit more here I want to get. I'm just gonna. So look at that, big difference, right? But if the pan was really, some people have shoved their wok in a drawer or in a closet for 12 years, and it's super rusty, and maybe they only cooked with it 6 times before they shoved it into the closet. Then after this, thanks. I completely forgot. Thank you so much. Then I would just season it again. I would just use the scallions and ginger and just do the whole number again. But after I finish cooking, I always just, serve the food, and then I put water into the wok, maybe up to here, and set it in the sink. And I'll let it sit for 10 minutes or a half an hour, and then I use a sponge and just do this, and everything always comes right off.
That's great.
Yeah, and there are purists who say you can never wash your wok with liquid soap because it leaves your food will have a soapy taste to it. And they'll also say that the food will stick in the wok. But I found that if there's a little soap in my wok, it's still, it's fine. I don't deliberately put soap in my wok, but if there's some soap on my sponge, I'll just use it. So after I've done salt and oil, then I just rinse it with water. And then I always heat it back on the stove. And then you're ready to stir fry. So it's pretty simple.
How much protein can I put in a wok this
So
size
I've actually determined it. I actually came
figured
down
you
with
had.
complete numbers. So chicken, 1
Yes.
pound.
You can do a whole pound of
A
what?
whole
Pork,
pound, wow.
shrimp,
Okay.
scallop, 1 pound. But for some reason, beef, 12 ounces.
Okay.
If you try to put more than 12 ounces of beef in, it just goes gray and it starts to foam.
Yeah.
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 And that's why
stir-fried food that hasn't gotten brown is one of the most disgusting.
Right? Yeah. And that's why I think on an American stove, you have to spread it in the pan, and let it just sear for that 1 minute. That if you immediately start to stir fry, it
Right.
rips, the meat rips
Oh,
in
yeah.
the wok. Yeah. So I think that several things people don't think about when they're stir frying on American stove. When you're cooking vegetables, no more than 4 cups. I categorize vegetables into 3 categories: hard, medium hard, soft leafy. So hard being carrots, broccoli, 4 cups. Medium hard, 4 cups. That would be like bell peppers, shiitake mushrooms. But then soft leafy, spinach, you could put 16 cups.
Yeah.
Watercress, romaine lettuce, so that's really bulky stuff.
Yeah.
You could put 12 cups, sometimes 16 cups, depends. And I think that you need to think about vegetables that way. You need to think that if you put in a hard vegetable, that you can't put in hard, medium hard, and soft leafy all at once. That the hard needs like an extra minute or 2, then it would be medium, then it would be soft leafy. Or you can cheat it. You can take hard, but you can blanch it. So if you blanch it in water for 1 minute and then really remove all the excess water, then you could stir fry that as long as you would stir fry spinach.
Right.
So that you could play with it that way. Or carrots, if you sliced it 1/4 inch thick, you could stir fry it maybe in the same amount of time as you would soft leafy. But if you're slicing it 1/2 inch thick, there's no way, then you'd have to blanch it. So there's just different ways of thinking about all that stuff. And I think in American culture, when people see a stir fry, they don't assume that when it's a meat, beef, chicken, pork, that you need to marinate it. But you don't have to marinate shrimp or scallops or squid, but beef, chicken, pork, lamb, you really need to marinate it in a little cornstarch, rice wine, dry sherry, soy sauce, just to bring out the flavors, sometimes a pinch of sugar. So, those are the kinds of basics that I think are really overlooked when you're thinking about stir frying in this country. Or I talk about in the book, because I know that most Americans aren't going to buy a skillet. They're not going to buy a wok, that they're more comfortable cooking in a skillet. So I try to write up the recipes for using a skillet or a wok, but there are some recipes, like when you're stir frying spinach, I think it's much better in a wok because you need that volume. You need the high sides. And when you're stir frying rice and noodles, I think when you're stir frying in a skillet, it's just like the food is coming out. I think these high sides make a huge difference when you're...
So when you crank this over high heat, like how high up the sides does it get really hot? Because I know like up here it's not going to be very hot, and on the bottom it's going to be very hot. So like how?
So you don't have to worry about how high the heat goes. The main thing is, the main concept of the stir frying is that the food is tumbling and it's touching the hottest part of the pan, which is the well of the wok. And so by constantly stir frying it, moving it, turning all its different sides, it's just cooking from the heat from the well of the wok.
Okay.
And then when I'm adding a liquid, I never add it down the center. I always I swirl it around the sides of the wok, because all these different things take down the temperature of the wok. So, and then when you're adding something like shrimp or scallops, they need to be dry.